And now a closer look at the prison term given to Russian opposition activist Alexei Navalny. Since his return from Germany last month after an assassination attempt in Russia, tens of thousands have taken to the streets each weekend in protest. Special correspondent Stuart Smith in Moscow reports.
He may have escaped death, but he hasn't escaped the reach of his government, which allegedly ordered his assassination. In a speech in court before the verdict, he denounced Vladimir Putin in stark terms and repeated this claim against the president.
No matter how much Putin pretends to be a geopolitician, he will go down in history as a poisoner.
After a trial which he and his campaign team call politically motivated, the Kremlin's most vehement critic is heading back behind bars. It's the outcome his supporters have been trying hard to prevent. Last weekend, residents of over 100 towns across Russia gathered for a second round of protests. 20-year-old Kristina is among those who wants change. Vladimir Putin has been in power as president or prime minister for her whole life.
I came out because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of any of this. I want to speak my mind for freedom of thought, for freedom of action in our country.
A lack of freedom, lack of wealth, a lack of justice, all complaints at the largest unsanctioned nationwide protests in modern Russian history.
In order for the authorities to hear us, we have to come out every day.
The authorities want to stop them. Within minutes of arriving, Kristina was detained. She joined the ranks of more than 5,000 across Russia who found themselves in police vans on Sunday, joining 4,000 detained a week before. And police were willing to use baton strikes and tasers to get them inside, a level of violence not yet seen. Spearheading the protests are members of Alexei Navalny's Anti-Corruption Foundation. Its executive director lives in the UK after a warrant was issued for his arrest. Vladimir Ashurkov says Navalny could yet be released if enough pressure builds on President Putin.
It's very important for us to keep the pressure, and we're lobbying in the international arena for the Western governments to take a more proactive stance.
The eyes of the world are now on Russia. The US and the European Union denounced the crackdown, and the United Nations Security Council is discussing Russia's treatment of protesters and Navalny's detention. Opposition activists are pressing for sanctions. Without them, they fear further repression. The Kremlin says its response is proportionate and legal. People are free to express their opinions, but must do so within the boundaries of the law. But officials say the protesters' complaints are not valid.
Navalny is a person who specifically helps the enemies of Russia to defame the image of Russia in the eyes of the world. He operates with lies. His so-called Anti-Corruption Foundation, unfortunately, has nothing in common with reality.
Its most recent investigation accused President Putin of corruption directly. The video on YouTube has received over 100 million views. Supporters vow to continue Navalny's investigative work, but his political movement could flounder without its leader.
With Alexei Navalny sentenced to prison and calls for mass protest, this could be a pivotal moment for the campaign. The way the state responds could galvanize more support or quell the protests entirely.
Despite opposition momentum, leading political scientists don't expect regime change anytime soon.
It's only in fairy tales that a revolutionary crowd takes over the palace of the dictator. This does not happen.
But these protests have stretched across the breadth of Russia. They could mark the beginning of a deepening political consciousness.
What we are going to experience, I think, is such a change both in the public mood and in the public mass political behavior, not just centered in Moscow, St. Petersburg and bigger cities, but spread across Russia and reaching maybe to those social stratas that were not politicized before.
Today's ruling may have taken away Alexei Navalny's freedom, but for now it seems only to have increased his impact. The Kremlin will hope that with imprisonment his notoriety fades. His supporters hope it marks the start of a political revolution. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stuart Smith in Moscow.